Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second. You okay? You're fine. No, Mini. Yeah. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second session of the first Jagran Cinema Summit. The overall theme of summit, as you know already, is the future of film. But the fact is, there is no future of film because the film doesn't exist anymore. Silence. I thought you were clapping for me, Yamadou. What the hell? Whether you watch a film, so to say, in a theater, on your mobile phone, on TV, on your laptop, it's all gone digital. In fact, the film star, as we call them, is the digital star now. Now, I'm here to introduce the panel. The most standard thing that most people who introduce panels do is to say that our panelists need no introduction. I mean, obviously they need introduction. In fact, they deserve an introduction for the simple reason that no people in any room have answered the question we're asking today as well as those guys who are sitting here. The question, of course, is, does size matter? Of the screen, of course. And with us, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Vivek Oberoi. He is the first Bollywood star to embrace a web series, Inside Edge, on Amazon Prime. Now that is as huge a call as something that Amitabh Bachchan took in 2000 when he moved from films to television for the first time. He was the first big star to do it. And the man who was responsible for it is sitting right here, Sameer Nair, ladies and gentlemen. Sameer has done television, has done film, and is now betting huge on digital. Another person who's bet hugely on digital is Ajay Chako, ladies and gentlemen. Co-founder, Array, one of the finest web platforms we know, the most irreverent, the most fun at this point. And thank you for reminding me, Srishti. With us is Srishti Bell. Please give a big hand. Thank you for reminding me, Vice President of the Film and Television Producers Guild. Now, when it comes to the screen, what the screen really does is affect films and television. She's done both. Good. And is also now doing digital. Last but not the least, because I have to use some cliche, is, ladies and gentlemen, Madhu Mantena. Please give her a big hand. Madhu was the founder of Phantom Films, which got the big bounty from Netflix to make the first original series in India, Sacred Games, starring Saif Ali Khan and Nawazuddin, which is currently being shot as we speak on the streets of Bombay. Now, whether that particular show goes global or not is what we'll also debate. But I can tell you one thing for a fact, this is going to be a world-class panel discussion led by our MC and a fantastic moderator, Miri Mathur, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mayank. Right, so huge scope for this discussion. I think it's something that's just been waiting to happen. And like Mayank said, there is no panel other than the one sitting on this stage that can really take it head on. I mean, there are many, many aspects to this, but I think I'll throw the first question to Ajay. You know, Ajay, you seem to have invested out of the entire panel. You know, you're probably invested hugely into the digital platform. Do you believe that when you started it, did you believe that this was the sanest investment you could get into for the future? Or, I mean, do you think that it had reached the optimum point in which you wanted to jump in? Or were you looking at it as something that would eventually happen in future when you started Array?
So interestingly, I've actually spent a lot of time in various parts of the media business, right? Like way back from the print era to about 10, 11 years in broadcast television and now in digital, right? So it's almost like, you know, starting afresh. But I think the big change that is happening and that relates to the question of screen size is the reason I'm here in this business is that I think the family as a content watching unit is under threat, right? So if you see eventually, from people wanting to watch things together, whether it was in the theater or whether it was in the television screen, in India especially, because of the fact that there is access now. Every household that has one television or every locality that probably has half a theater has actually 2.5 mobile phones, 3 mobile phones per household, right? So all of these guys are actually ending up watching something which is very different from what is available for communal watching on television or communal watching in theaters, right? One of the reasons also why these media are under threat from various fronts, not just from the fact of the economics of the business, but also the kind of storytelling that has been doing the rounds, right? So we've got into the business primarily because we believe that there is enough room today, and we're still at ground floor on that one, for storytelling that is very, very individual-led, like in the sense that something that really relates to me and not necessarily my whole family or my community or whatever, right?
So in a sense, content has become personal instead of something that addresses the entire family.
To use the word personal is a slight cliche, but I think it's become less aggregated from a watching experience point of view, and therefore themes that actually resonate with individuals rather than communities actually have great potential. And therefore, I think the heart of this business again is coming back to storytelling, right? So therefore the most, I mean, Sameer will also know,
exactly.
Others also know that the guy who's back in the heart of the business is the writer again, right?
So we come back to the cutting edge content that Arey puts out a bit later. But Sameer, you've pretty much been on the cusp of all changes that the media has seen, starting with how you turn, Star into the lead in network by identifying and then going in for, appealing to the middle class who was really left out, and then moving to film and then onto digital. So I need to know your entire quiver of arrows and why you took on that change, firstly.
Okay, I mean, with the whole quiver of arrows?
No, we'll get to the, I'm saying one by one, okay. I will analyze your quiver of arrows, but...
So I thought I could just start by, on the topic of this,
sure.
What we are talking of, does the size of screen matter, and from where I've come. So the thing is that the size of screen, as we see today how audiences are playing out, that it doesn't matter to a consumer. So you can watch a movie in the theater, you can watch it on TV, and you get a pirated thing, you can watch it on your mobile phone. You see live sport, you see it on TV, and if you have friends over, you put it on a big screen. So you tend to consume content on any screen as a consumer. So to that extent, from a consumer's point of view, the size of screen doesn't matter. As in, we see it in a flash multiplex, my driver sees it on the phone. But when that's the way it sort of evolved. So we had TV, then we had film, now we've got digital, and essentially these are just new consumer-facing screens. The content is the same and people make their choices. So they see TV, you have a more personal experience, and you want a bigger screen experience. And in fact, a lot of us in homes have got much larger TVs now. When everyone says it's all going small, it's actually going bigger. But this size of screen does make a big difference to any kind of economic model, right? So it's one thing to say that consumers will watch content anywhere, but finally, whenever content is being made, it's being made for some primary scheme. It's got to start from somewhere. And I think that often dictates how all these things happen. So an end usage is, of course, across everywhere. And so in my experience, when we first were doing TV, and then when we got a big star onto television, there were the economics of television that allowed us to do that, right? Later in the movie business, it's the economics of movies that allow you to do some things. The digital business is driven by its own economics. So I think that is going to be a very big deal in trying to figure out where this business goes, this whole content business from here.
But just as an add-in what you said, do you think that the content of one format is going to eat into the other two, or is it going to just enlarge the pie?
But actually, you know what, it's not about eating so much into the other two as much as it's purely share of time. That's what we are fighting for now. We are not even fighting for share of wallet. Because the way this whole market has evolved is that a consumer is not going to watch crap for free. They're not going to do it. So what we are really fighting for now is share of time. That's why some movies succeed and some don't. Some shows work, some don't. Anything works or doesn't work because the consumer is not willing to invest time in it. Money is the smaller matter. So what is happening now is that consumers are making choices. So you have X type of people who watch TV, others watch movies, they don't watch TV, they watch English, they don't watch English. It's those choices, the choices you make. So I think it all coexists, up until the economics work.
Yeah, absolutely. So we discussed the economics of it. Madhu, like Mayank told everyone, the first Netflix original series after a series of films that you've made. You're doing the first web series. What is the thought behind Phantom getting into web series?
It's very difficult to talk after Samir because there's nothing left to say.
We'll tap into it for the more serious matter.
So, for Phantom, which is a production company which is led by filmmakers that I work with, their basic life comes from exploring stories, right? So when you have a 2-hour format, and as we can see, drama is moving from, or rom-coms are moving from the big screen into a series, because there's 8 hours to explore those characters and tell audiences stories and dimensions of characters that was not possible before to keep them engaged, right? Television no longer has monotone characters. They're complex characters that get audiences to be invested in what they're going to do over the whole series. Now that's a great platform for filmmakers like Vikram and Anurag to explore. And so if they want to tell a real dramatic story which doesn't need a big screen experience, then why not work with the best actors and tell it for the small screen?
So are you saying that now the content will decide its medium? For example, why would you, if you have a compelling story, ideally, it would go on to any medium and still be a compelling story. So are we now dividing where content will be viewed?
Yeah, but I'm saying if you're telling a story like Sacred Games, you don't want to make it into a 5-part feature film, which is releasing 1 year away. It doesn't lend to that. How do you tell Sacred Games unless you tell it as an 8-part series? How do you tell the complex stories, what they've been able to tell? But these Netflix series are being told at the same scale.
Yeah.
We are saying you don't need to pay $150 and come and see drama at home in the theater. It may not be, because screen is also about experience, right?
Yeah.
You want to see a Bahubali in a theater, and studios across the world have stopped making 22 films a year. They're making only 6 blockbusters.
Correct.
Because they're saying the big screen experience lends it to, itself to another story, while the Netflix and the Amazon experiences lend themselves to other stories. And a 5-minute content will lend itself to another story. So I think all of these stories, both in terms of ambition and both in terms of how you want to tell them, from a creative point of view, I would never tell Sacred Games for the big screen.
Wow. So let's ask Vivek then. Vivek, you were the first guy to put your chips on the table, walk where no man had walked before. What were you thinking? I mean, how do you now sort of be the voice of big screen actors who are willing to take the jump and, actually put themselves out for a good 80 to 100 days to do a series? Are actors also looking at it as a sort of a reduction in stardom, or are they looking to reach out to a more global audience that maybe a film can't take you to?
So I think, Mini, that's a really interesting question. For me, the career choices I've made, whether it's debuting, even though I'm second generation, not getting my daddy to produce a launch pad movie for me, कि देखो मेरा बेटा कितना अच्छा डांस करता है, कितना अच्छा रोमांस करता है, कितने अच्छे डिजाइनर कपड़े पहनता है. I decided to jump into the fray with a film like Company and wanted to be taken seriously as an actor. So at that time also I was told the same thing. I was told that this is harakiri. You're going to destroy the opportunity that you had. You should have done the Abbas Mustan film. Your father was producing. But it panned out okay. So when Inside Edge came to me, and I loved the idea, I loved the concept, I thought it was revolutionary, it was path-breaking. And a lot of advisors told me again, nahi yaar, mat karo, you're making a big mistake, reduction in stardom and all those kind of fundas. But I took a calculated risk, Mini, because I calculated a simple thing. I said that even with all the multiplexes set up today, you have a statistic which tells all that 2 to 2.5 crore people across India actually go out to the theaters and watch movies. We're so below saturation in terms of the infrastructure to allow people to go out there and see a movie. So
here you have a comparative when you say how many people are holding smartphones up right now in the audience there or checking as we speak. There are 40 crore people with smartphones in the country already and growing really rapidly. So I have now access to a distribution medium for my content that can penetrate 40 crores versus an infrastructure that can just give me 2.5 crores of access. Why wouldn't I choose that? Why wouldn't I want to leverage that? It liberates me from the whole, Pehlaj Nihlani type of, censorship issues. It liberates me from having to grovel in front of, a multiplex chain saying, yaar, please, yaar, dopaher ka show mat do, subah ke show mein koi nahi aayega, yaar, shaam ka show de do. It liberates me from all of that. And now it's appointment viewing, right? So I've convinced you, Inside Edge dekho. And then you decide, मैं रात के 3 बजे देखूंगा, मैं बस में देखूंगा, मैं ट्रेन में देखूंगा, मैं गाड़ी में देखूंगा, मैं घर पे देखूंगा, मैं अकेले देखूंगा, दोस्तों के साथ देखूंगा. So it redefines and it breaks this whole structure which we've been struggling to conform with. A structure where as a film industry person I feel frustrated that when I go to a theater guy he says कि ठीक है तुम्हारी picture में मैं invest नहीं करूंगा, तुम्हारे loss में मेरा loss नहीं, लेकिन every ticket sold I'm going to take 50% of your revenue. And I won't share canteen revenues with you. The footfall that you bring when you do a Bajrangi Bhaijan and you have so many people coming in and buying popcorn and samosas, I see no money out of that collection. So it kind of makes it very democratic. It levels the playing field and makes it fair. And I think that's the future of cinema.
It does, but just to extend that question, would you also look at a series that is being directed by somebody from the world of film, and even though now it has budgets that like big blockbuster films have, do you think you will still be showcased with the same quality? I'm talking, of course, India specific here, not what Tom Hanks and Spielberg did for HBO.
It's a very valid question. So when I did Inside Edge, Karan Anshuman, who had already shot a film, came on board to shoot this. The budgets were bigger than most films that I've shot in a few years, and the publicity budgets were bigger than the biggest blockbuster films that we have today. And the highlight, I think the cherry on top of the cake was when Roy Price, who heads Amazon Prime globally, gave an interview in the Economic Times saying that Inside Edge is now, which is an Indian production, proudly so, is now the most binge-watched show in the world across their platform, across all languages. Even the English shows haven't done the numbers that we have, despite the budgets being 4 times or 5 times. So to me, that is
amazing. And that means we've come of age, really. Just, Madhu, I'd like your take on what Vivek just said, but thankfully the digital medium now, at least the web series, market doesn't really conform to the star system. You don't need a Bollywood big box office opening. You can just let it out there and let the content speak for itself. Why do you think then that a Vivek Oberoi would be critical to a project?
Because he's also a terrific actor.
So I just wanted that said.
And terrific actors end up becoming terrific stars.
Sure.
And I think anybody who's working in the digital medium needs to be a terrific actor, because you have to hold audiences' interest for longer periods of time in a binge watching. Somebody's watching
that would be
10 hours of content constantly, and to hold somebody's attention, unless it's being made by the best, how do you cater to that?
Sure. I'd like to bring in Shrishti now, who's always, told me that she's one, she has no filters when she's on a panel, so I'm kind of counting on that. So, Shrishti, as you know, you've always been leading sort of cutting edge content, etc. Over the last few years, Amazon Prime, Netflix have come in there. They're bringing in sackfuls of money, offering it to producers, doing what the studios did with films. Do you think that as TV producers, do you think this could also be viewed by the TV producer from that perspective as, let's make a quick buck, let's make a good show while they're still offering it, and then, sort of leave? Or are you looking at it as an opportunity that you were waiting for to be agnostic of the format and just tell your story for a good budget?
I don't think it's the TV producers who are trying to make a buck right now. It's currently the feature film producers who are making the quick buck.
That's my next question. How does it, they seem to be offering it to film producers, where Madhu will attack you immediately. So
I think there's more money in television than features, and even Amazon.
I agree with
Shrishti is saying nonsense.
No, but just want to get a
I've
TV
seen her house, I can attest to that.
Well, that's a discussion for the latter half. But Shrishti, what do you, I mean, on a serious note, when you are getting that budget from bigger digital platforms to tell your stories the way you want to, what is the thing that you would like to sort of take forward? The fact that they're giving you enough money to make something you could make on TV because of the censorship, because of the audience, what you're catering to, etc. Are you now feeling a little braver in, you know, your storytelling?
You know, it's a very exciting time for all content creators because we are getting access to different audiences. We're getting also specific audience access if we so choose to have. Like Array's got a whole bunch of people watching who are not necessarily watching Star Plus or Sony. But it's not just a budget call because honestly, I can't complain. My last show was episodically very close to his show in terms of cost. So it's about the reach, like he was saying. It's about the economics, about what works out. What is exciting is that we're getting to tell new stories in new formats. To take forward what Madhu was saying, there are certain stories that you can't tell in a 2-hour format.